Out of the negatives, I'm going to choose some I'm going to do for a lit process. Probably this one here, that one definitely. This was the newer film, the one that was less expired, and it actually, the contrast is lovely on it. It's come out very well. I think this one as well, and this one. So there's quite a few here. This, that one probably too noisy. And then on the other row, which is the expired one, let's just get that up here as well. This one, definitely. I don't know what that is up here. I don't know if that's definitely on the negative. It came out all right. This was very nice. That was very nice. This crap, I'd have to turn that around. Yeah, one of those maybe. So there's at least, I think there's at least 8 prints that I could make, and we're just going to choose some paper, and I'm going to expose them first under my enlarger up here. So I've got to choose what papers I have and which would be kind of cool. This is very cool as well, this Polymax paper. The last paper I think that Kodak made, also very nice, is the Agfa paper, Tora paper. Oh yeah, it's always good to have a choice. And I gotta look through my notes, because I have my notes down here. I always keep my notes, all my secret notes. Maybe I shared them with you. Anyway, let's get started and for the lit process. So I've written on this one F6 140 seconds. This is an incredible paper. This is a really old Brovia Agfa paper, extra hard, and it really is grainy. Don't have much of it. It is super good to lit. So that is a 30 by 40. Yeah, so that is going to go in there for one of my infrared pictures. That I'm looking forward to see the outcome of that guy. So I have it lined up in my easel. This is the eagle on this monument. It's some kind of art project in the Berggarten in Graz. I'm going to use Tora paper with this one, and it's going to be 80 seconds at f8 for my lit process. So I've prepared 10 sheets of paper, which is 24 by 30. I have them in this box. It's an old box that I keep. I call it my safe place, and I have my sheets in here in a dark bag, and I number them, and with my exposures, my aperture, and what the name of the paper is and the title, so I have a reference when I do the lit process. And I call this the dry session, and I have a wet session, and I split my lit sessions like this because I find that I don't have to go back and forth, and I can just do this. It take me probably an hour, and I can do that one day, and then another day I can do the actual wet session. So that's a typical dry session. There's a wet session, and I number which ones I do first, and I might have some notes at the end. And I absolutely recommend writing notes, even though my notes are completely messy, but I write like outcomes if I find that something really worked well. Something like I realized that the Tora Excellent paper on this occasion needed a lot more fixing. That paper really needs more fixing than normal, and that's something to watch out for. It's a fiber-based paper. So that's my dry session ready, and I will do my wet session when I have time. Doing it like this means that you don't have a whole day in the darkroom, that you can have just an hour doing your exposures, which are in larger and then come back to doing a wet session. I find that an amazing way to actually do a lid session, especially when you've got a family and you've got other time constraints. You can really fit it in. You can even, with the dry session, you can just do your exposures over a week if you want to, and just keep putting them in the box. And then when you're ready at the end of the month, do a wet session. Yeah, that's a way of doing it. So I'm on to my wet session. I'm doing a hot lit, close to 40 degrees. I've got 30 milliliters of A and 30 milliliters of B, and my old lit session, 50 milliliters. So 130 milliliters together and 2 liters of water. I'll bring those together and I'll put them in my big tray up here, and we're going to start the lit session. I've got a stop pad here with some citric acid, not so much, and some paper fixer. Important, as I said in previous videos, don't mix your film fixer with your paper fixer. Have separate ones. And this is my wash. So this is basically my whole setup. And here, which is really important, is a hot plate for your lid. So you keep your temperature really at a good 40 degrees, between somewhere in 30 and 40 degrees. That will really help your results. It's good to write all these things down, write which ones that you put in first. Yeah. So I'm ready to do my wet session. I've got my hot plate all set up down here, my chemicals, my trays are all ready. I'm going to turn off the lights and we're going to work under a red light. And then I have a red torch somewhere I'm going to find, and a big tray. And I usually do 2 papers in one tray because I'm working with 2 liters of water. So my session usually lasts about an hour. And I write down how long each of those papers take to develop. A good litable paper could take from 3 minutes to 6. Some difficult papers can take 15 minutes, even half an hour. And as the session gets longer, those papers take longer to develop because, of course, there's not so much active developer in there. But it gets more interesting. It can get more grainier and you can get different effects. So it's always important to note which papers you use first in your lit session. So if you want to repeat the same process and get it kind of quasi right, because every development under lit is unique. It's very hard to make it repeatable. You can to a certain point, but there will always be certain variations. So I'm going to start. Let's get going. So this is my tray here. It's quite large. This will take at least 2 sheets of A4 size paper, or 2 8x10s, and a little larger, of course. You've got ridges on the tray, so you've got to keep moving this tray back up and forth when you're developing your paper under lit, and you've got to watch it with so that you can see when it's just about right, and then to stop the development with your stop, and then with the fixer, and then of course in the wash. It's coming out quite nice. That's only after, how long is that? 2 minutes 30. That's pretty fast. So this one needs a little bit more work, but that one's ready to go. So I'm going to get on with it. You can see that's the infectious development coming through very nicely on that. Yeah, it's the one with the statue. That one's coming through quite nicely as well. I need to put new batteries in that red lamp, but it's doing really well. So I'm just going to keep rocking that a little bit. That's ready to go. Now you can see this one really is doing very nicely. Just going to get a little bit darker on that. Yeah, just rock that tray up and down a little bit. And then I'm ready to pull the snatch point. But the infectious development is working beautifully in that. I think we're ready to take it out. So I'm going to just go through the papers that have come out now after the lit process. I guess this is a Torah paper because I can see some mark here. I mean, this is absolutely beautiful, but I want to fix that one again. That's not fixed correctly. That's a known issue I have with that paper. It needs a hell of a lot of fixing. So that one I will take out and fix. I'll just stick it up here on the side up here for a minute, and then I'll go and fix that again. Here's one that I'm not too happy. Also fixing problem. So I'm going to show all my problems today. So here is Polymax. That actually lit it in 1 minute, and you can see the stripes of the tray here because I had the paper down. I've got to note that paper is really responsive to Lith. Yeah, so I think I'm just going to do a session on Polymax on its own. So let's put that one up there for a minute. So now let's have a look at what else we got. This is absolutely gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. That'll darken down a bit, but I can see here on the camera that it's darker on the camera than actually in reality. But I reckon that'll be fine. That's absolutely beautiful. Let's take up a look at this guy here. Now, as that looks good, but I would bleach this guy a little bit. That guy would need to be bleached once he's washed. Let's have a look at this guy. Same problem again with the Polymax. So we can unfortunately bin that. I could just use it for bleach session. I'm going to do a video on bleach session as well. So I'm going to just throw that out there, the Polymax ones, because they are not so easy, to be honest. That's another Polymax now. That I have no idea what happened here. That makes no sense. So let's put that away. Let's have a look at this guy. Oh, that's beauty. That's a gorgeous one. I think that looks like, if I'm going to guess, that's the Agfa paper, because the Agfa paper always comes, that Agfa paper that I talked about in the dry session part of the video. That's what I was expecting. That is absolutely gorgeous. See how that turns out in the dry down. So let's have a look at the last one. Also absolutely gorgeous. I think this one's a little bit too dark. It's yeah, the camera here it looks fine, but actually in reality I would like to bring out the highlights a bit more on this one, because I know when this dries down this will be much darker, and that's where a bit of a bleach would come in very nice. So yeah, so I've got a few things to fix and a wash to do, and then let them dry down, and then I'll present them to you. So let's talk about that failed Polymax. This is number 1 and number 2, and definitely the exposure is correct, but it took, I think, about less than a minute to develop this with the lit. I mean, I was using this 35 to 40 degree lit, hot lit. This is something I've got to watch because I can see the ridges of the trays on it. Normally I just put the paper down on the emulsion side down for about a minute or so, but with this paper that's not advisable. Definitely watch this like a hawk. This one just lits too fast. Obviously that one's damaged. That was probably on top of the box. You just don't know with these old papers. That's what happens. But definitely the color is lovely on that. Exposure, yeah, I'm going to come back to that Polymax. It's a great paper, but obviously lits super fast. Let's go through this one. This is the Agfa Rapid. Yeah, that definitely will need to go through a bleach process to do something with that. You could redevelop that, I guess. This guy, beautiful. Really love this. This is an older Agfa paper. That's definitely going to look really nice. I might bleach that a little bit. Let's see how that comes in the dry down. That looks awesome too. Some damage on the paper up here. A bit sad about that, but that's what you get. That's the Torah Excellent paper. Yeah. And finally, this other Torah. That's going to look good too. So all in all, quite a number of keepers. out of a session of, I think, about 10 sheets of paper. All the Polymax stuff, yeah, didn't come out the way I wanted it. Well, yeah, let's scan them and see what they look like when they're finished. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the little notification